It's been a very wonderful and powerful week and a wonderful, powerful weekend. We had a great board retreat yesterday and really very inspirational. And I'd like to ask actually if all of our board would actually stand up for just a moment. I want to tell you some of the most amazing people in our lives and our world today. These are some of the most beautiful lights, and they have stepped forward to be the leadership of this community and to allow their lights to shine. And we're not trying to just toot their horn, but we want you to know that they're here for you also, and they're here to help support you in your life and your spiritual growth as well. And so I'd like to ask you to just give them all a nice big round of applause. We are absolutely blessed to have them and to have them be a part of this. And all those we've got people here who have served on the board also. We know Charles is one of our founders, served for many years, and we're so grateful for him for all that he has done and all he does. And Gail has been on our board, and so we're just so grateful for all those who have stepped into that role. And it's, it takes some time and energy, doesn't it? But it is, I don't know about you guys, but I get fed every time we come together as a board. And so I just have to acknowledge how beautiful and how special it is. I've been in other groups where that's not always been the case. But I am blessed to know that every one of them was there for a good reason, and we all learned and grew together. But we have a wonderful board, so I just want you guys to be aware of that and be appreciative of what we have going for us. Well, we've been working with an idea, an understanding, an awareness of being a dreamer. And sometimes that idea of being a dreamer can be seen as, oh, you're just a dreamer. But the reality is that nothing in our lives comes into our experience unless we are participating in some way as a dreamer. We are created in the image and after the likeness of the divine, and the divine is the very essence of the creative process itself, isn't it? Yep. And so you and I are created in the image and after the likeness of that, and you might say we have the seed of that divine within us, every one of us. And sometimes we are doing things that allow that seed to grow and to expand, and sometimes we are finding that we're doing things that are not necessarily allowing it to grow and expand. We're kind of confused and we forget who we truly are. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Sometimes we forget that we have this amazing possibility within our lives, but we are created to experience more of that in our lives, and we are in the process of doing that, and we're in the process of creating whether we recognize it or realize it or not. And so part of our understanding and waking up is to begin to grow into a richer awareness of our participation in that process. Got my notes out of order. Let me get arranged here just a little bit. So I came across a story. That's one that I thought was pretty fascinating. During the Super Bowl, and I always forget how to count the X's and the V's, but one Super Bowl a while back, FedEx ran a commercial that was a spoof on the movie Castaways. And it was a great commercial. Some of you remember that commercial? A great commercial. And Tom Hanks in the movie plays this man who was castawayed on an island for many years. And I love that movie. It was a great movie. And in this, they have this guy that's coming up. In the end of the movie, the guy, he comes up and delivers a package that he was supposed to package many years before, right? And so in this commercial, they have a guy that looks like he's been on a deserted island for 10 years or something, and he's got a package under his arm. It's all beat up and everything, but he's made a commitment he's going to deliver this package. So he goes and knocks on the door, and the lady answers the door, and he hands her the package, and she says, well, thank you. And he says, I'm just curious. I've had this package with me for all these years, and I just made a commitment. I was going to make sure I got to deliver it. Would you mind telling me what was in it? And she said, oh, nothing really. It was just a satellite telephone, a global positioning device, a compass, a water purifier, and some seeds. Well, I thought about that package, and I thought, what a great metaphor for so many of us. We oftentimes don't recognize that we've got the package with us all the time. We've got the package with us all the time. We have within us the ability to tap into what is needed for us in any particular circumstance or situation. And we have the ability and the power to bring forth into our lives even greater experiences of good and blessing. And that power is the very essence of the divine spirit, that creative spirit that is available to each and every one of us. And part of our work is learning how to tune our instrument, or you might say, into those energies and powers that allow us to step forward into our possibilities and into the dreams. One of our Bible verses, this is a multi-generational curriculum, and so our kids are actually talking about this same kind of idea in their program, which I think is wonderful. And one of the verses that we are using and sharing is one in 1 Colossians 15:41. And it says, the sun has one kind of beauty, the moon another beauty, and the stars have another, and each star is different in its beauty. I love that verse, and I think about this with an understanding that you and I are created in the image and after the likeness, as it says in Genesis. We're created of the same energy of creative power that creates stars. You realize that? We are created out of that same energy and power that creates the deepest oceans, and even more spectacular than that. We're created out of the same energy and power that is generating and creating and is the deepest love and compassion that anyone could possibly, even beyond our imagination. In many ways, that's even more magnificent than the stars, and even more magnificent than the deepest ocean. You have that within you. Every one of us has that possibility and potential within us to move beyond what limits us, to move beyond what holds us back, to move beyond what keeps us stuck. Emerson once said, what lies behind us and what lies before us is tiny compared to what lies within us. It's tiny compared to what lies within us. And one of my favorite quotes is from Marianne Williamson. It's been actually attributed to Mandela, but it really was from Marianne Williamson. He was quoting her. She says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. And we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are we not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. I like that phrase, just that simple phrase. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. So you have permission. I'm kind of pausing here. I'm going to throw out a little line here that came out in our work the other day. You actually have permission to be too big for your britches. In fact, you're being called to be too big for your britches if necessary. I love this quote. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And it's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our fear, our presence automatically liberates others. As we are liberated from our fear, that presence and that power automatically liberates others to be free from theirs. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that wonderful? It's just such a powerful statement. And there's so much truth in that statement that it just inspires me. You know, we've been often taught in many Christian circles that we're part of that really the only thing that we can do is worship Jesus. That the only thing that helps us is to worship Jesus. And I'm going to suggest to you that Jesus said something other than that. I know that's going to really not make a lot of people happy to hear. And I'm sorry to hear, but Jesus himself said things that were just not that way. He was basically saying, he said, why do you call me good? One there is that is good, and it is the Father in heaven. And one of the things that we know that he said also is that the kingdom of heaven is within you. It is within you. So in John 14:12, he says, I tell you the truth, anyone who has faith in me will do what I have been doing. He will do even greater things than these, because I'm going to my Father. The things that I am doing, you will do in even greater things. Are you in a place where you are open to accepting that as a possibility and a dream in your life? Of course, I have to bring it back and ask myself, am I in a place where I'm willing and able to hold that kind of awareness about myself? Sometimes I am, and sometimes I'm not. I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes I really don't feel anywhere near like that. I think you know what I'm talking about. And part of our work is to practice being in the energy and the consciousness of the Christ. Jesus is one who came here to show us. See, this is one of the differences, I think, in unity in many traditional Christian churches. And we tend to try to look for our similarities more than we do our differences. But if you really want to kind of get an awareness about a difference in the teachings that you find in a unity group and what you would find in many more mainstream Christian churches, is this. The primary focus of many mainstream Christian churches is that Jesus died for your sins. Wouldn't you agree? And I'm going to suggest to you that they've got it all wrong. Eric Butterworth calls this let me see if I can phrase this right. I'll at least paraphrase it. The hideous doctrine of vicarious atonement. He didn't pull any punches, did he? The hideous doctrine of vicarious atonement. The idea that Jesus died for your sins. And I'm going to suggest to you that Unity's understanding about this is that Jesus didn't really die for your sins. Jesus lived for your potential and your possibilities. Amen. He came to show us what's possible. He came to show us that we are not limited, even by death. That you and I are spiritual beings living in a spiritual world governed by spiritual laws. And that, to me, is the good news. That's what the gospel really is. The gospel really is, and the word gospel really does mean good news. The good news is you have within you that same possibility and potential to be and do those kinds of miraculous things in life. Things that are beyond your own current ability to believe their possibility, for that matter. One of the things that came out of our work yesterday is that we were working with some thoughts and some ideas and some goal setting, and part of the exercise that we did was to really also be honest with and look at what goes on inside of us that might get in the way of us being able to live out those goals and dreams in our life. And so as you think about what I'm talking about here, just think about any goals or dreams that you might have, and think if there are any thoughts and feelings and belief systems that go on that come up within you that might kind of be in opposition to that. I call those our yeah buts. We've all got them. Some of the times our yeah buts are bigger than others, and so some of them get really big sometimes. But those are those thoughts and ideas that say, well, I can't do that. Well, no one ever does that. It's just not possible. You know those? And when we recognize those and begin to do those things that are necessary to let go of those kinds of thought patterns, what we'll find is that the universe, there's amazing things that can happen through us that we don't always have the clarity or the vision sometimes to even be able to know what's possible. One of our verses in our story this week is from Luke chapter 8, verse 4:16. And it goes like this. When a great crowd had gathered and people were coming to Jesus from one city after another, he spoke to them in parables. A farmer went out to scatter his seed. And as he was scattering it, some fell on the path where it was crushed, and the birds in the sky came and ate it. Other seed fell on rock, and as it grew, it dried up because it had no moisture. And other seed fell among thorny plants. The thorns grew with the plants and choked them. And still other seed landed on good soil. And when it grew, it produced 100 times more grain than was scattered. And as he said this, he called out, "Everyone who hears should pay attention." His disciples asked him what this parable meant. And he said, "You have been given the mysteries of God's kingdom, but these mysteries come to everyone else in parables, so that when they see, they can't see, and when they hear, they can't understand." The parables mean this: the seed is God's word. The seed on the path are those who hear. But when the devil comes and steals the word from their hearts so that they won't believe and be saved. And the seed on the rock are those who receive the word joyfully when they hear it, but they have no root. They believe for a while, but fall away when they are tempted. As for the seed that fell among thorny plants, these are the ones who, as they go about their lives, are choked by the concerns, the riches, and the pleasures of life, and their fruit never matures. The seed that fell on good soil are those who hear the word and commit themselves to it with a good and upright heart, and through their resolve they bear fruit. No one, and the next part of this verse is, no one lights a lamp and then covers it with a bowl or puts it under a bed. Instead, they put it on top of a lampstand so that those who enter can see the light. So I want to talk a little bit about this from a metaphysical perspective. When Jesus talks about the idea of the word, he's using a word that has been translated from the Greek, which is logos. And the word logos is that creative principle. It is the principle of mind that is a creative principle. And so it's about recognizing that creative principle within ourselves. And the seed that he's talking about is that creative principle. And that seed is what is within every one of us. And so this metaphor, this parable, really is about that development of that seed within us. And when we put our attention toward that possibility and that potential, it can grow and have magnificent growth, well beyond our own ability to understand it. But we also have within us, in our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions, we've got rocks. We got rocks in our head. We all know it. We got it, might as well admit it. We've got rocks in our head, and we've got some pretty thorny stuff going on inside, right? And we've got parts of ourselves that are dry and kind of not really fruit, not allowing for that fruit of the Spirit to come forward. I really think that it's talking about our own energy and our consciousness. And the more we pay attention to that part of ourselves and honor it and feed that part of ourselves, the more it will grow and thrive. But if we simply let it be set aside or thrown into that part of ourselves that we call doubt, if we continue to doubt ourselves, we continue to hold ourselves back, if we hold our energy toward all of the shoulds and the should nots that we've gotten throughout our lives, anybody gotten any of those? Rather than looking at the cans and the possibilities and holding to that, if we can really begin to shift our awareness and our energy toward holding a light of who and what we are and what we've come here to be, then we find ourselves growing in ways and experiencing blessings that we just never even dreamed possible before. In Unity, we have a saying that really has to do with this idea of law of mind action. Have you heard me talk about that, the law of mind action? The law of mind action can be put into a very simple phrase: thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Have you heard that before? Actually, say that with me. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And so there's another piece of that, and that is that where our attention goes, energy flows. Where our attention goes, energy flows. What we're putting our attention on is what we're putting our creative energy into, whether we know it or recognize it or not. And sometimes we're putting our creative energy into all those things that can't be possible for us. Isn't it true? So we have a tendency sometimes to put more energy into what's impossible rather than putting energy into what's possible. In Mind the Master Power, in a book, More Power to You, Charles Roth, a great classic unity book, said, success or failure in life can be reduced to two simple attitudes of mind. I can or I can't. Pretty basic, pretty simple. And yet part of it is learning how to shift out of that energy and take our focus away from those thoughts and feelings of I can't. To be open to, well, what if I really could? Sometimes it just takes a little bit of shifting that much. What if I really could? What if I really could be prosperous? What if I really could be completely healthy? And what if I really could have our own church space? What if I really could have fill in the blank? What if I really could? And moving out of that feeling of, well, it's not, it can't, into the possibilities of what can be. Charles Fillmore in Jesus Christ Heals said, we all have access to the Son of God, the Christ, implanted in us by the Father mind, if we will give it a chance to quicken us with creative ideas. Creative ideas like, what if I really could? What if I really could be healthy? What if I really could be in a really loving, healthy relationship? What if I could? I'm going to invite you to really take some time to practice that saying. Well, what if I really could? Say it. What if I really could? I wonder if I really can. I'm thinking I might really be able to. Doesn't that feel a little different than, oh, I can't do that? It's a great thing to practice that awareness. Here's another wonderful quote I love. Just as surely as Jesus Christ, the Son of God, is in each one of us, the Son of God is in essence, in potential, in every one of us, and may be unrealized or unsuspected, but you can see it. Not simply imagine it or hope that it may be, but it is there. It is there. So you and I have that possibility and potential, and a big piece of our work is allowing that potential to unfold. And the way that we allow it to unfold is by noticing and paying attention to what we're putting our energy into. There is some focus involved in this. It does require focus, doesn't it? It requires us to shift our focus away from our fears and our doubts and our limiting thoughts and beliefs. It really does require us to take some time to not get distracted by the things that are going on out here in the world and thinking that that's what's the only way it can be, that things are limited because that's what we're seeing out here. But seeing beyond, as Jesus said, looking beyond the appearances and staying focused on, as Paul says, staying focused on the prize of Christ in you, your hope of glory. I love that. Christ in you. To me, that's the gospel. That's really the gospel of what Jesus was trying to teach us. Christ in you, your hope of glory. And it does take time, it does take some practice to really stay focused on that, because it's so easy to look out in the world and see everything that seems different than that, isn't it? And so part of our practice, our spiritual practice, is to take the time to do the work, to move back into that space within us where we can know and feel that and feel good about it. Even when we are in those places of darkness and we've come through different challenges in life, to come back to that. always coming back. And one of the things you've heard me say, never centered, always returning to center. I came across another great story. There was two avid women golfers who were playing a big round of golf, and it was for a prize of $2,000. And at the 18th green, the golfer had a 10-foot putt to win the round. And it was going to be $2,000. And as she was lining up her putt, a funeral procession started to pass by. And the golfer set her putter down, took off her cap, placed it over her heart, and waited for the funeral procession to pass by. And after it passed, she picked up her putter and returned to lining up her putt and completed it, and thus winning the game and winning the $2,000. And afterwards, her friend came up to her and says, I am just so impressed. I said, I was just so touched that you would stop and take the risk of losing your concentration and missing that putt and losing the prize. And, just to show respect for someone who was a funeral passing by. And she said, well, we were married for 25 years. We're talking about focus here, folks. Of course, there's another story about a man who's working hard and working late and just constantly working late all the time. And finally, he comes home about 12:30 one night, and the wife said, you need to do your ABCs. What? You need to do your alphabets. What do you mean? Wife comes before work. Another good point. So it's important for us to pay attention to what we are focusing our attention on, and then what we focus our attention on is going to be what draws forth from within us. We're created to allow those seeds to unfold. There's a wonderful, and seeds grow in two ways, Seeds grow in two ways. They do grow up toward the sun, and that's an important part, but they also grow down toward the center of the earth. Do you know that all plants grow toward the center of the earth? They're all pointing in that same direction. Either way, we're pointing toward the center, right? And you might see the center of the earth not only as a metaphor, as a center of our being as well. And you might see the sun as the center of our being as well. The reality is, we are centered in the divine wherever we are, and we are growing in that direction, whichever direction we're growing in. And they're both important, and they're both valuable. We talk about being in the world, but not of the world. And so we have the opportunity to know that we are here growing in ways that allow a music, it's probably the best way to say it. There is a song within every one of us. And one of my favorite quotes is from Wayne Dyer. And our song is not necessarily just the music like our beautiful friends Angelic Strings play for us, but it is a song of our life. And one of the things that Wayne says is, don't die with your music still in you. Listen to your intuitive inner voice and find what passion stirs your soul. Listen to that inner voice and don't get to the end of your life and say, what if my life has been wrong? Live and don't let the music die within you. You've been given a dream because there's something in that for you. You have dreams because there's something calling you to experience even more of your possibilities. Charles Fillmore says, from a metaphysical standpoint, we see that the genius is merely one who is caught onto the law, believing his dreams of health, perfection, and success to be true, and whose dreams have therefore become true. I love that. So as you go through this week, and probably for the rest of our lives, I invite you to play with this exercise. When you find and hear something going on inside of you, you have a dream of something that you would like to experience more of. When you have an idea of what you would like to be more of, when you have an awareness of what you would like to experience more fully in your life, and you put that out in a way, then you also notice all of the yeah buts that come up, which they will, all the things that seem to be in the way of that. I love that saying that obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off of the goal. When you notice those obstacles, take some time to shift your energy and ask the question, well, what if that's not true? What if I really can have this? And let your energy move in that direction, and let it move you even a step further toward those possibilities in your life. Have fun playing with that this week. What if you really could? All right, let's move into our meditation time. So as you move into a comfortable place, just begin to allow the body temple to relax. To feel a sense of relaxation, and as you are relaxing in your heart and mind and in your mind's eye, imagine and see the energies of light and love and peace flowing through you from the very top of your head, gently over your face, allowing the muscles of your jaw to relax, allowing the muscles of your neck to let go, and bless them, and bless this body temple with an awareness and understanding of the presence of life and light and love and health and wholeness and peace. Feel that energy of relaxation flowing down into your shoulders. Feel that peace flowing down your back. Seeing every cell relaxed and vibrating and in harmony. And let yourself be supported by the chair you're in. And know that as you do so, you're also allowing yourself to be completely supported by the Spirit of God. Take another nice deep breath, breathing into the heart space and then all the way relaxing the heart and the torso, feeling that light and love and peace flowing into your hips and legs, all the way down to your feet. As we bless the body temple, we let ourselves be grateful for the work that the body does and allows us to move through the world. In your mind's eye, I invite you to hold into your awareness some dream that you have for yourself. Let it be a dream of your possibilities, a way you would like to experience more of yourself in a way that is a blessing both for you and for those around you. And if anything comes up that seems like it would say, oh, you can't do that, just say thank you for sharing. But what if I really can? And am I willing? What if I really can? What if I really can What if I really can experience more abundance? What if I really can be more intuitive, to hear my inner voice more clearly? What if I really can be divinely guided? What if I really do know what to do and how to do it? What if I really can be happy and joyful and peaceful? What if I really can let go of these fears, these limiting beliefs? What if I really can be the kind of person my dog thinks I am? Or my cat? What if I really can? And just be open to that possibility of a greater expression of who and what you can be. And give thanks that you are moving into that space. And so it is. Take a nice deep breath. Give thanks for the knowing that you truly can. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes.